to the Agents of the Unexplained podcast. From a haunted abandoned asylum to Sasquatch lurking in the dark woods and watching you, and all things unexplained, here are the stories from outside our realm. With your host, Bill Rigby.
Well, hello, everybody. Tonight's going to be a great night. I definitely got a couple things going on. It was just supposed to be Shane Spencer, but Shane talked to this Brian earlier, got a report from him. Shane called me, says, Bill, you got to bring him on with us. He got a great experiences to share. But let me bring Shane in. Shane got a few things to talk about too, about how they're doing, changing up his research. There he is.
Hey everyone, how we doing?
But no, I'm excited about that. I'm just gonna bring him in.
Hey, guys. Hi, how you doing?
Great. Here's Brian. Now, Brian has got some very good experience. Dog man. Hey, Johnny. Hi, Debbie. But before we get into this with Brian, I want Shane to talk about how he's changing up the research, going back to sort of old school. And
yeah, absolutely. Here, I sort of show you what me and Mike Hartman is doing here. Let's see, here, let's go to this map. I don't know if you can see it. We've got a map of one of our research areas, and you can see the different, trying to line my finger up with the dots ain't working too well. But anyway, we got these maps, and we're trying to pattern the Bigfoots to where we're found tracks, sighting reports, our sightings, whoops, growls. And that way this will correlate between Mike's research and mine, that we can put ourselves in a better position when we go out, say next June. We can look at the map and say, hey, this is where we had the whoop at. We had a sighting here in June, so let's go back to this spot. Maybe it's the Ape Canyon, the bog, the lowlands, whatever area that we've named. And that'll sort of help us instead of just looking at the map and say, hey, let's try this tonight. We'll have a science to it. They was here last June. Maybe there's a food source there, whether it's cattails or skunk cabbage or whatever.
Did you color code for the whoops are one color, knocks are another color, or did you just mark and say this was this was this?
Yeah, everything's color coded. Then I've got a chart that if you want to look up when that happened, it'll say June 2022. We was here so such and such a night on this place in the map. This is where we found the tracks, so we can sort of get a better pattern instead of guessing where to go at Woodbury. Mike's actually getting maps of Salt Fork, Wills Creek, AEP land area, Hocking Hills. So, but we're generally researching Woodbury wildlife. That's our main. Right. We both live close to it. He can leave work and be there in 10 minutes.
That's the thing. You're basically going old school researching.
Yeah.
Back to the basics. And are you using topographical too with making these maps, or?
Yeah. Here's one right here that Mike just ordered. I don't know how well you can see it. Yeah, I haven't got many pins on it yet, but yeah, it's elevation changes, and then there's ponds on the one with the roads. Then we can look at the maps, and the sort of the dividing line of Woodbury Wildlife Area is State Route 541. Right. So if they're going to cross, it can, we can narrow it down. Maybe, hey, they're crossing here because there's woods on this side of the road, woods down on this side of the road. or a bridge, they can go underneath the bridge. And so we can narrow that down where they're doing because they got to cross the road, the
Right.
roads all over Ohio, they got to cross somewhere. So
yes, they do. And that's the thing. I know the one area that Tater was talking about, they are crossing under an underpass. Well, a bridge that the interstate ran over.
Okay.
They're near Salt Fork. He believed that's where they were passing through. I believe they use any easy access that they can. So, this map will help you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of big culverts that you can, 10 foot high that off of 541 and that, and some of these back roads that they could actually stay there during the hot days of summer, with that cool water running through. And so there's areas of research. Me and Darren Ritchie set up a trail cam where I had my sighting last year at the exact identical spot at Woodbury behind. It was back in the woods a good ways off the main road. But we've got the trail camera set up, and the plan there is to leave it up 2 months, go back, put fresh batteries, pull the SD card, put another one in, and do that for 10 months.
Okay.
We sort of hid the trail cam. One of my ideas was to get the trail cam up 25, 30 feet up into a tree and sort of angle it down. We didn't do that with this one, but we had a real steep hillside behind the pond.
Right.
So it has the same effect as looking down where I had my
I've been saying
sighting.
to do that stuff. I've been saying that. Exactly what I was saying. Get it up high, get a nice little angle on it to shine down toward the trail or whatever that you believe they're using. And I've been saying that for over a year now. And that's I believe that will help 100%.
Yeah, because what we as humans, when we're walking the woods, unless we're squirrel hunting, we're pretty much looking at everything at eye level. If we're deer hunting, you're not looking up in the trees.
Yep.
And Mike has got climbing gear, so I'm pretty young yet. I can climb the trees pretty well still. I'll take the easy route if he's got it and get them trail cams up to where, some Bigfoot's walking on the trail and he might accidentally not look up, and you might catch something.
Exactly.
Nobody else is doing that I've ever heard of. So we're going to focus on funnels, ridge lines, that funnel into a ridge line and set these up. It's a lot of work. When you put stuff up, you got to take it down. If you went a mile in, then you got a 2-mile hike there and back. Okay. But it's boots and hands on the ground, basically, because you got to do
some of those high walls you can walk in. Yeah.
Yeah. Today was one of those examples where I actually got back in, and I didn't want to come back the way. I never want to come back the way that I came in because I can cover more ground looking for evidence. And I got turned around because when you're hiking and you're looking at your phone and recording, I got turned around. And I started walking. I got high walled out. I mean, I just walked 1/8 of a mile, and I looked down on a knoll, and I got to turn around. I had to do that twice. Yeah. So I never want to go into a new woods, or anybody does. My advice is, if you don't know the woods, go in during the morning or middle of the day. Don't leave yourself an hour of daylight left and hope to get out. Because if I'd have had an hour of daylight left today, there's a good chance I wouldn't have found the main trail to get out. So it's it's a safety thing.
Tim Gayard asked, does that camera have IR lighted?
No, it's got IR blocker on it. So they actually you can buy the cameras with the IR, non-IR, or they've got a blocker, like a filter thing that you can put over it.
Right.
To block the IR. So, and they're not really any more than your regular trail cam sets. You just got to search.
Exactly.
You just search for them.
I'm trying to think the sporting goods store up here. We can order it through them. And Tim says it may work then. The IR, I have a hard time with them, but I figure you're 20 to 30 feet in the air and up in an angle, they're not getting they're not catching that beam directly. So it might work.
Yeah,
Trial and error. But anyhow.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyhow, Brian's sitting there just listening to us like, yeah, okay, I'm here.
Absolutely.
Brian.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your experiences.
Okay.
Folks, Dog Man.
Yeah.
And it does bark.
Oh,
this
yeah.
story does bark.
It growls a little bit too.
Yes.
The incident happened. Actually, there are two incidents that were more back to back. December 2005. I live in a very rural area. I've lived here all my life. 100 people, 150 people, a northern part of Ohio. That winter, we had maybe a dusting to an inch of snow. I was awoken sometime after midnight by hearing something thumping. Now, Shane said he understands. I had a Malamute wolf dog, right. So he liked being outside. He loved the cold, he loved the snow. And I sleepily went and looked out the door, and it was him going back and forth, and he was on a log chain, and he kept pulling at the chain, and that's what was making the thunk. And that was something that was very unusual for him. So I threw on my pants and my shoes and went outside to investigate a little bit, took my flashlight. And as I got close to him, though, the night was dead quiet. Of course, it's December, wintertime, not uncommon, especially here. But as I got close to him, he had his head down. The hackles, his hair was up on his back, on his neck, and his tail was down and between his legs. And that was very unusual for him. So I'm trying to figure out what was going on when I heard this howl that I will never forget. At first, it sounded like there was a dog stuck in a barrel. It sounded very reticent. Oh. And the town itself was putting in some new culverts. And I thought, well, maybe a dog got stuck in one of these things somehow. I went back in the house and I grabbed a 1,000,000 candle-watt power spotlight and my 45. And I started toward the direction of where I thought the culvert, where the dog may be. And this sound was and it was the only sound that night. There was no other sound but this. And it was every couple of minutes. And it was, again, very unnerving. So as I crossed the railroad tracks, crossed behind my parents' place at the time, and walked down to where I thought the noise was coming from. Right. But that's not where the noise was coming from. The noise was coming from these woods directly in front of me at the time where I was walking towards. It was coming from the woods. And I got to this little hill that overlooked a side road, and the then mayor of the town had some hunting dogs, and there were 3 of them in their kennel. 2 were just shaking. I could see them shaking in their house. And I mean, they were facing the road. I'm standing there looking at this, and the 3rd one was frantically trying to dig frozen ground to get under his house. This dog was terrified.
Yeah.
I looked at the 45 in my hand and I realized it wasn't enough. Yeah. So I turned around and hightailed it back to the house. I got inside and I pulled out an HK91 with infrared night vision, and I grabbed the magazine. The magazine I grabbed had full metal jacket and armor piercing rounds in it, the staggered. Popped that in, took back off. My then wife at the time, she wondered what I was doing. She was from the city. She walked outside with me, told me I'd just get back in the house when she heard this thing cry, this howl. And she fell to the ground. She goes, she was scared to death. Never had she heard anything like that. Oh my God, what is it? I said, well, I don't know, but I'm going to go find out. Mm-hmm. I went ahead and went back to where I was standing. I walked down the little hill and I crossed the road over into mayor's yard. I was maybe at most 40 yards from the wood line. And this thing was just howling like crazy. And I had my spotlight on, looking at the woods. Well, it was just moments that all of a sudden you could just hear this thing tearing in through the woods, just crashing through the trees. So I slammed the bolt shut on the HK, which at night, dead of night, 3-pound bolt, it's pretty noisy. Well, this thing stopped dead. It recognized the sound of the bolt. So I'm looking at the woods, and I'm looking like 4 feet high, and I'm not seeing anything. So I'm raising my light. I'm looking at these woods. I raise my light, and then about 7.5 feet up, I'm watching steam rise like something's breathing. And I'm looking, and I'm seeing, but not believing what I'm looking at. And here was this head, this massive dog's head, wolf's head, just amber to red eyes staring at me. And I'm looking at this, and it's standing there staring at me, and I'm staring at it, and it was malevolent. That was the feeling that I got, was an intense amount of malevolence. It was evil. It turned and it ran 150 yards in 5 seconds. Nothing like I'd ever seen or seen anything move that fast. Wow. So when I say this, the story is 2-part. About a month later, mid-January, we're going to get a snowstorm. So I took that big dog and I took him in the garage, and it's a detached garage. Put him in the garage at night, and I went back out the next morning. It was a Saturday morning. There was maybe 8-10 inches of snow on the ground, and I started walking toward the garage, and I stopped because I'm looking at the garage, and I see there's tracks in front of the garage, just back and forth, like something had patted down the snow. Well, then I look down where I was walking, and I see these tracks in the snow 10, 15 feet from the house, maybe. And I couldn't identify them. It was nothing like I'd ever seen. So my neighbor, he's 15 years older than me. He's an outdoorsman. I went and got him, Gary. He came over and he took a look, and he said, I don't know what these are. Now, I belong to a local firearms club, and we had just had an ODNR representative at the club, and he had given out his number in case anybody, saw poachers or whatever. So I called his number, and it just so happened he was in the nearest town in Wellington, and he came over. And when he came over, he looked at these tracks, and he goes, "This is nothing I've ever seen." He couldn't identify them. He took some pictures of them, and he goes, "I don't know what they are." Now, these tracks were standing together at first, and as I watched them go away from my house toward the railroad tracks, they were 8 feet apart bipedal, like it was just hopping. Like it just hopped. Hop to the railroad tracks. My oldest son at the time was 12, 13. We got up on the railroad tracks, and I tracked this thing for maybe a mile before I lost tracks altogether. And since it could jump, 8 feet or whatever, it must have jumped off the side of the railroad tracks, maybe down one of the embankments here, and I just lost it.
Right.
But that thing had tracked me. It scented me that night. It was standing outside my house.
Wow.
It came back. It knew where I lived. And ever since then, I have changed the way I go into the woods, the way I hike, because I spend a lot of time hiking and just camping, and I changed how I do this now. And it took a little while, I'll be honest with you, to just go back and spend any time, especially at night in the woods. That was something I didn't do.
PTSD.
What's that?
You had PTSD over it.
Oh yeah, no question about it. I had my girlfriend 3 months ago had an encounter with one by the bridge. She's a strong empath.
All right,
and she was
one second.
yeah.
Josh wants to know, could you tell if your dog was a female?
The dog man?
The dog man or the dog?
My dog was a male.
Your dog was a male. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, was your dog a female? No, it's the male. Okay.
My dog was a male. He was a large male. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she said she saw this thing standing on the side of the road. She's a MICU nurse, a hospice nurse, RN. She's very, very educated. I spent 35 years working at a hospital myself, and it was nothing. And she slowed down to see this thing. She goes, it almost acted like it wanted me to see it. And she said, I wasn't sure what I was looking at. The same thing. She goes, she said, then it just hopped off the bridge. And that was less than 2 miles from here. So it's unlike anything I've ever seen.
Shane, you got to get up there.
Nothing like I said.
Shane has to get up there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
In there.
I've got some topographical maps, and I've got some trail cams, and I pretty well set myself up for possibly finding one. Yeah. Things here in this little town, there's been nights where it's been dead quiet, no birds, and even early evening, no sound at all, nothing. Even in the summertime, it's just dead quiet. So it's I don't know if it's a hunting ground or just a passage through. I spent some time talking to Linda Godfrey. I met her.
Okay.
This little town, in a 5-mile radius of this town, there are numerous, probably 10 or 12 old cemeteries. When I say old, early 1800s, late 1700s. I know that the 5 tribe Indians were along this area. I don't know exactly, where, and I have to do more research for that. So I know Linda had spoke about them being protectors. This thing was corporeal. It had feet, and I could see its breath. Other than that, it wasn't something. It wasn't a ghost. It was a real life and flesh and blood animal.
Right. Randy, he did have pictures of it, but it was on an old phone and before the cloud. I already asked him that before the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I had those.
Unfortunately, he don't have them anymore.
No, I wish I did.
Yeah.
But the tracks were, if you watch the Dog Man Triangle, the beginning of that movie by Small Town Monsters, when they're starting the introduction and they say animals, things you might see in Texas, when it comes up to Dog Man and you see those tracks, that's what these tracks were. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Now, I took a Dog Man report, and I live in town, okay? And 3/4 of a mile from me, on the outskirts of town, along the river, a Dog Man was seen. And this was a very reliable person I took the report from.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
But we've had Dogman sightings a few miles up the river. A mile down the river, you're in another town. And my friend Jamie King took a report of one being up in one alley up there in town. So
that's crazy.
I think they're traveling near the river.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Well, there's a water source here. It's one of the adjacents of the Black River Beaver. The Beaver, I think it's Buck Creek, maybe, or Beaver Creek. I can't remember which, but it's an adjacent annex of the Black River.
Yeah, I think that's Buck Creek over your way.
Beaver Creek, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Ohio. Who asked that?
Yeah.
Northern Ohio. Doug Waller. Tom Swigger, we're talking about Dogman and his 2 experiences. The thing is, too, with these dog men, we don't know enough about, are they that aggressive or what? Now, you felt the evilness from
Yes.
that first sighting.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know enough that to say Shane, he's been pushing it. I joined a couple of dogman's groups so I can learn more. And you're the first one I've had on to talk about your experiences. So it's that's why I sat there quiet a lot, Brian.
Oh, that's okay.
You had me interested. You really did, because it's very interesting how that all transpired and everything. The thing is, have you had any more like footprints you've seen in your area?
Yes, we have. There's a not far from me, 5 miles to the 5 miles to the northeast is a state park, and we have found tracks in the state park. But what's interesting is that they'll appear. They're in this little where it's wet. They went on one of the hiking trails. There were these tracks, large dog-like tracks. And I say dog-like because the pad was dog-like, but they were much longer, much wider. They were around the soft area of a walk bridge, but they were there. They were on this side of the bridge. They were on that side of the bridge, and they were gone. That's it. They're gone. They didn't. They did. I looked. I searched around the bridge, both sides, along the hiking trail. Could not find any more. But around that area, that walking bridge, there was, and that was this. I don't know, probably August.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, just a few months ago.
Well, a couple years ago, me and Brenda Sproul was walking the one trail, and we found this canine print. That thing, Katie says she remembered being there for the prints at your house. Katie's saying it.
Yeah.
But this print got to be 5 inches around for a dog print. That's huge. And,
That is huge.
And I tried to find a picture of it. I couldn't find a picture of it. And I asked Brenda, I says, you was with me, weren't you? And she said, yes, I was there. I said, okay, that's at least I got confirmation, because Jamie King put that picture almost identical to the one I saw.
Yeah, that big 5-inch print.
From this year. It's a couple months ago. And that's before I made my group go private, because you had all these trolls just jumping in there being ignorant. And I got mad. That's it. We go private.
Smart.
Yeah, I didn't really want to, but stuff like that we had to.
Yeah, I understand.
But it's near the same area we were. It wasn't exact, but near. He found a print almost identical to it.
Wow.
It might have been identical if I could compare pictures, but I can't find my picture. So prints are a good source of not confirmation, but to keep an eye out for more evidence.
I don't know what else is going to make a print like that.
Me neither.
That's for sure.
Me neither. And it's scary.
I've never seen anything like it. If you have prints, there's something.
Something had to make it. Yeah.
Something made
Brian, you said something that a railroad track was close to, how far is that from your house?
Oh, I'm the first house next to the track on both sides.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's within 50 yards probably. And
there's a lot of reports of Bigfoot's using power lines and railroad tracks as pathways. It's quicker to take that at night than it would be going through the woods. So it's interesting.
And the thing is too, any animal will take the path of least resistance.
Exactly. They have large power lines that run just south of town here that stretch for miles and miles and miles and miles. And they're the big the big towers, and they're cut on
Yeah.
either side, so they can use that as a pathway or the railroad tracks.
Then
Ones
you,
that
say then you said the river was like what, within 2 miles of your house? Or
the river? Oh no, I can walk there in 5 minutes. There's the creek that runs back there. That's what I said, and I can walk in 5 minutes and be in the woods. And the creek, there's a train trestle where the creek is. I want to say 200 and maybe 240 yards to the east of me.
yeah.
So it's not very far.
Yeah, not at all.
No.
All right.
Yeah, this was.
I'm thinking sometime next summer. I want to come up your way, Brian.
Well, you can. You're always
Yeah.
welcome. Always
Shane,
welcome.
We got to make plans. We got to make
Yeah,
plans.
you can come up this way. We can do some hiking, and we can do some filming, and we can set up some game cams and go from there. I got some topographical maps too, and I'm trying to pinpoint. I'm trying right now with research. I know that, like I said, Linda Godfrey was leaning toward it being Native American, maybe guardian. And again, these cemeteries are quite old around here, and with maybe an Indian connection, like the main road that runs through Manistee Park in Michigan. I think it's 53. That was the most used Indian trail that became a highway, and that's where it started. So it's nothing to say that there could be burial mounds or effigy mounds that have been long forgotten, or even plowed over by farmers that didn't know. These are always possibilities, and these things were their protectors. I don't know.
Well, I know we had the Lenape Indians in this area.
Yeah.
And a lot of their land was taken for the dam.
Yeah.
They put in for flood control. Well, a lot of people lands were taken for it, but the Lenapes. So I believe the dogmen are part of that.
Oh,
I really do. I really do. Can I prove it? Not yet. I'd like to. But like I said, I got to do a lot more research on it. And Shane, we got to make plans to go up his way.
Yeah, we was talking about that. Me and Brian. Last time we talked, it would be interesting to get maybe permission from some of the
Neighbors.
the neighbors around
landowners. See what I can do.
Yeah, did Gary, your neighbor, did he ever have any experiences? He said with the dogmen.
No, he's moved. Actually, he moved about 15 minutes north of here, and he hadn't seen anything. He's one of those guys that wouldn't say much.
Tight-lipped, huh? Yeah.
Just because he wouldn't want to be what's the old saying goes, he didn't want to be made fun of. Didn't want to be poked at. Right.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. The other interview I took with Janet, I just got to give her first name because her husband passed away and she had a respect for him. She didn't want her last name given. But a lot of this coincides. She didn't have no dogman trouble at all until the neighbor behind him piled up all the fields and dug them all up and turned it into swamp again. Then she started having the dogmen, like what you were saying, the howling. Remember that thing you sent me on YouTube with the dogman?
British Columbia, right? That's an unidentified howl. That's
whoa! Here.
Yeah, I seen.
All right, Thomas Swigger. He seen a coyote in his backyard a few years ago back when he was building his house. I opened the door to scare it off, and it ran straight toward me. And it jumped into the air and turned into an Indian with full headdress and then disappeared right in front of my face. Damn near gave him a heart attack.
Wow.
Where was this at, Tom? You don't have to give exact location, but general area. Where was this at?
Yeah, and Janet's story coinciding with yours, Brian. With that YouTube thing that she listened to. I sent it to her. I said, Janet, let me send it to you and listen to it. And she said, Shane, that was exactly it. So
Yep.
what you two heard coincide with each other. So
Tyler County. Thomas is from Tyler County, West Virginia. Josh is saying that was a skinwalker. I don't think so. And I believe the other thing was it's a protector of the Indians. I don't think that was a skinwalker. I think because what he saw, okay, this is my own theory. I could be 100% wrong. I think what he saw was definitely an old medicine man or tribal chief.
Yeah.
Or one of the big elders protecting the others.
Could be.
And you could be building on some tribal land.
Yep.
Unknowns to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what Janet said. She didn't have no dogman activity until they started digging. Then she started seeing it, just sort of like what Brian was describing,
right?
And hearing it, and her son too, and her neighbor was on the sheriff department, and he actually shot at it. Well, she thought that he did. She said, "Did you hit it?" And he said, "No, I just shot up in the air to scare it off." But he said it was some kind of wolf thing, and that's where he left it at, you know. Okay. But a wolf thing that's standing behind the firewood stack. Janet said they lived there for 20 years, and they always kept it at 6 foot high and wouldn't put it any higher because it's afraid the kids fall on the kids. But she said that its eyes was a foot and a half above the wood stack. So, yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah, that is very massive.
That's massive.
Right, I got to do a quick commercial.
Okay.
And I'm doing this for one reason only. She's working a 24-hour shift and she's probably worn out. My friend Gwen Purcell, she has got knockers.
Oh, nice.
Get your got knockers at gotknockers.org. The shirts, the bats, it's everything. Yeah.
Nice.
You know, she is a great person, and she's having her butt handed to her today. She's a paramedic, and so she can't be out here watching because she's on the 24 hours.
Yeah.
And God bless her. She's a hardworking woman and a great friend. I call her my little sister. So, folks, go to gotknockers.org to get your knockers.
Yep.
And other material. Wait till she hears I did that. She's gonna smack me. But yeah, and another person, and I got to share this. You know, you can't only have just one of me. You got to have two of me.
Right. Nice.
You know who did that, don't you?
Nice.
I was at a conference down in Cabela's in Wheeling. And
nice. Yeah.
I hear, "Hey, Bill." I turned and look, and there's Dave Wickham holding that face up of me.
That's funny.
I turned and looked, I'm like, what the?
That's funny.
Yeah, that was. But anyhow, let's see. Oh, Jack Warren. His wife owns property down in Tyler. And they are Native American Blackfoot and Sioux.
Yeah, one theory I got from, I think it was Ernie Davis or Russell Eastbrook. I can't remember. I was talking with him. I think it was Ernie, but I'm not positive. he said that when the chiefs and the tribe members were buried separate, they weren't buried in the same location. And one warrior that was after the chief died would take care of the gravesite. Well, after that warrior died, supposedly his spirit would guard the chief's cemetery spot. So and there's a lot of connections with the Native Americans and the Dogman connection. It seems like it's always them two are together.
Yes.
I know Mike Hartman took me to a spot at we'll say Coshocton County. There was supposed 2 Indian burial grounds, and how he got this information, I don't know, but there was 2 humps in the woods, that was unnatural. And Mike had took a Native American woman there, and her response was, "Mike, don't ever come back to this spot." She said it's evil, and that's what she had told Mike. Well, as soon as Mike told me this, I'm like, "Where's it at? I want to go." So, we set up. I think we was there twice, and nothing happened. But that's typical of Bigfooting, or Dogman. You're not going to get action every time you go. It's just the circumstance. And my theory was, if you went to one of the Indian burial grounds and disrespected it, like let's start looking for flint, arrowheads, or digging, then you might invoke that evil spirit, that warrior, that he might not be evil, but he might be the one guarding the chief's plot. And, and animals can tell your intentions too. You can get a vibe off a person, you don't even have to say nothing. Like deer, I can walk up through my backwoods with a gun, and as soon as they see me, they're gone. But I can go up in my ATV or my tractor, and they'll just stand there chewing their cud, watching. So animals can know, what your intentions are if you watch somebody long enough, or you get a feeling off somebody. It's weird how that works, but it's sort of like you meet a new guy and there's a connection with you, then you meet somebody who's like, man, I don't want to go out with them. It's just, I think they pick up on that. So, what your intentions are. So I have no intentions of ever digging in any cemetery, Indian or English. So
no.
That's the thing. You got to respect.
Absolutely.
Got to do respect. And my mom's brother, her youngest brother, my Uncle Ron, his wife Aunt Juanita, she passed away now from Alzheimer's. She is a full-blooded Seneca Indian princess. Her dad was chief of their tribe. And I never got to learn enough from her. Yeah. Because they end up moving up in Michigan. And so I didn't get to do enough learning from her of the Indian ways and that. And I feel like I was really let out from not getting the information. Because I always wanted it from there. So, yeah. And you learn so much from the Native Americans. Yep. Even though Mike went off that tantrum about saying, they exaggerate. Some might, but I believe because different ones told me they were taught the stories of their history.
Handed down.
Word. It was handed down word for word and made them repeat it till they had it perfectly right. So I don't go along with that. What Mike was saying at all. No. So, which Mike, he really pissed a lot of people off with that. He really did.
Yeah.
And unfortunately. And I try, Mike, you got to retract that somewhat. You're pissing the people off. Well, I'm just stating my opinion. I says, no, you're stating it as a fact, and that's wrong.
Yeah. And my grandpa was full-blooded Indian. So that makes my dad, when he married, when my grandma. So my dad's like 3/4 Indian, and so I'm like a third of that. But Grandpa has passed some stories down. My dad just told me one the other day about an incident with Grandpa in West Virginia. Then he had one in Florida with the Bigfoot creatures. And my dad said, I know these to be true because Pop, his name was Pop, that's what they called it, said he didn't exaggerate on anything. He said he just told it like it was. So Dad handed that story down. Now I know it. There might be a few little different minor details, but the story's always the same. We've seen this. It was this big. It was black. It made this sound. That never changes because that's an impact in your mind. But the details might, like the time, the month, exact location, that might change. But the stories, they're pretty much spot on that you're going to get handed down from generation to generation. And so
I got to write something down. Paul Crawford just put this up for my area. Let me see. Is that the right one? Yeah. Chief Cornstalk. Okay. I got some people to check with on that too, Paul. Thanks. There might be a curse through that chief on this area.
Yeah, I've heard of that also. I've heard of the chief or the medicine man putting a curse, and I've heard that. Then I've heard the guarding the chief's cemetery too. So that's maybe the malevolent dogmen or the ones that with the curse. Maybe that's right. I don't know.
I thought Chief Cornstalk was around the area of Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Along those lines, I thought he was the one that cursed the land for 100 years, if I'm not mistaken. It was Chief Cornstalk around the Point Pleasant, West Virginia area.
And they say Chief Logan and Chief Cornstalk was in the Thompson Run Park area.
Okay.
And that's what he's saying here.
Okay.
Tommy says. Okay, which I was just down there this summer, Thompson Run, for the Bigfoot days down there, and which is a nice little park.
Never been.
Oh, really? He has a photo of one. Can you kind of share that with me in a private message there, Tom? I'd like to see that. I won't share unless you tell me to, but yeah, I'd like to see that. That'd be interesting. Because we got so much to learn from them, and no one wants to go and talk to them. Seriously.
No, we got a lot to learn.
And we can learn so much more about the dog man and Bigfoot.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Information is power.
Yes, and that's the main reason I do these podcasts is get information and then share the information we get.
Right.
And with all honesty, this podcast of mine is a learning thing for me, and I ain't gonna lie. I do learn a little bit from everyone.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot talking to him.
Yeah, I was on the fence about dogmen even existing, but after, Brian's testimony, Janet's, others that I've heard, documentaries that I've watched, that one lady down there at Hocking Hills, I can never remember her name, Gwendetta or something, but Gwendell, she was a speaker down there, and she was sincere, just like Brian is and Janet. They seen something that was a dog-like figure and was bipedal at times and heard it.
Oh yeah.
I'm believing that they are existing more now. It's just I would love to see tracks or actually see one, but that enough time spent in the woods, maybe I'll get my wish. Be careful what you wish for, I guess.
Yeah, be careful.
You gotta learn that from these people. Yeah.
Yes.
And you got to
Yeah.
watch too. I just had someone send something to me, and I can't find it now.
Have them resend it to you, Bill.
There you
I
go.
don't know who it was. It was over on this other page.
Oh,
Let me see something here. Nope. It's that one.
yeah, we're actually making a 8-foot, at least a 7-foot mannequin of a Bigfoot and a dogman.
Nice.
And,
Nice.
yeah, we're going to set them up and try to get a wet dog scent on it. Then when we use
Nice.
the Bigfoot, the skunk ape smell, and
Right.
use that as, I've never heard of anybody else doing that. So it's something out of the box, but it's sort of in the box because hunters use decoys, turkey decoys, deer decoys, duck decoys. So why not try a Bigfoot decoy?
Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Never know.
So you,
Now, who knows what you might get if you do that?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that we're looking into and getting the 24/7 GoPros and the grouse, get a crow, get a duck,
Right.
put the decoy duck on the pond, or just a small pond like where I have my sighting, and just tie it down to the bushes there and have it scan that pond, across that 1/4-acre pond. You never know what you might capture, because a Bigfoot ain't gonna be looking under the brush a foot on the water for a camera. That's nobody puts camera there, so it's something
Right.
that might catch one off guard. It's just
I got some scuba gear, so
I might need to borrow it. I might need to borrow it. So yeah, it'd be good. But yeah, a lot of the out of the box is right in the box with what works with other wildlife,
may work the same.
Yeah, because it's a wild animal. It's got to have weaknesses. Where moments where you, like when I had my sighting, Bill had his sighting, caught it off guard. It caught us off guard.
If for nothing else, I might check it out as a curiosity thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
With my sighting, I think it was more curiosity because Shane knows my story. It was at Salt Fork. We're walking down the Buckeye Trail. We go in 90 feet, stop, look around, listen, go another 90 paces in. Same thing, look around, listen. It's getting dark. Debbie Preggy was with us, Mike Bennett. And after the third stop, we were getting either small stones or nuts tossed up at us. Not thrown at us, but tossed up at us. Debbie's getting real nervous, and I don't blame her. Well, Mike, he had his gun on him. I didn't have anything. And she goes, I don't want to go any farther. I'm too scared. I don't want to do it. Okay, I can understand that. Because we don't know what the hell it is doing it.
Right.
Can't see what it's doing it. I says, and she had her little scope. I says, give me the scope. I'll go up 90 paces, scope it out real quick. If it's safe, I'll call you and so. I get up about that 90 paces. I kneel down and I start scoping like this, trying to adjust it to look down the trail. Out of the corner of my right eye, there's a little movement. I turn and look. About 15 feet off the trail, right inside the wood line, and there it was. Knelt down, leaning in, looking at me like this.
Yep.
Yes, I about filled my pants.
Bill, we stayed at Salt Fork back in April, end of April this year. We were up actually at Bigfoot Ridge. I didn't know it when I made the reservations. We were at campsite 17, and we were there for four days. And the entire time we were there was absolutely no wood sounds, no birds, no squirrels, no nothing. We heard a turkey one morning, but at night we could hear the yowls, and not coyote, because I've seen and heard coyote. I've seen and heard bear and deer and wolves. mountain lions. I've heard. This was like the whoopee owl. We had tree knocks when we were hiking, and I got some pictures of some footprints down there. And this was this past April.
April what?
This year, 23.
No, yeah. What's the April dates? The dates?
It was the end of it was end like the 20, something like 23rd maybe, 23rd, 24th, 25th, right around the end of April.
Where's at the group camp area?
Oh yeah, yeah. We were at like I said, we camped. We had a small white car. Yeah, had a yurt up there on 17. We hiked down to that cemetery down at the bottom of the hill by that big reservoir, the lake.
Yeah.
There's that cemetery right down there. Yeah, we stayed up at 17. So yeah, we were right there, but there was no noise back there at all.
Believe it or not, there was more activity all over that park that week.
I believe it.
We had like, I think 5 different sightings at different areas.
Wow.
And 7 different prints taken. And heard the whoops and the knocks, but you can't always go with that at Salt Fork.
Right.
Because of everyone being there.
Yeah.
Well, there's Steve Stetzer. They got bluff charged by one.
Really?
There that week. Yeah. Yes.
Huh. That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild.
It was an active weekend there.
Yeah.
And then had that. Yeah. Then we had between mine and Mike Hartman's camp, we were camped next to each other there at the group camp. It looked like a dog man ran between us, and they got pictures of it.
Yeah.
Really?
Buddy Wall's got pictures.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was, and I was in my blazer, sleeping because I packed up because I was leaving in the morning. Mike was in his tent, and it ran in between both of us.
Wow.
Something woke me up that point, and I don't know what it was. And when they start showing the pictures the next day, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's about the right word.
Yeah. So you just don't know.
No.
Yeah, it was interesting.
No doubt. No doubt.
And yeah, it was Becky and Jay Pouch got the pictures, and they were still up by researching all night. It was like, oh my god, I was worn out. So I went. Well, I was getting sick that week, so. But the thing is, there's so much activity around that area. Yeah. And when I had my sighting was the first time ever there. And I'm thinking I'll never hear or see anything. I just want to hear the Ohio howl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? I didn't hear the Ohio howl, but I got to see one.
Yeah.
And when I mentioned the PTSD with you, Brian, I got it too.
Yeah.
The first time in my life I ever got scared.
Nope. That was the first time for me too. As I said, it changed how I went in the woods, especially at night. I didn't go in the woods for a while at night. I just wouldn't go. There's no way. I was too apprehensive.
Yeah. About a month later, I was at a group camp out with other Bigfoot researchers from around the country. And they were going out one night. I said, no, I'll stay by the fire. I didn't want to go. I had a problem with it, and I admit it. And it was like I just couldn't do it at that point. Now I don't care. I'm going.
Yeah. And I'll go. Yeah, I'll go now. I don't have a problem now. But when I first did, I was stunned.
Yes. Randy, I'm planning on it. I got to wait till next month to make the reservation. He's asking if we're doing Salt Fork again in April. I'm planning on it, but I got to work around a couple dates. Yeah, I know you guys live for that one. We're planning on it. And I'm planning on doing a camp out up in the Alleghenies, me and Gwen Purcell.
Nice.
July 11th through the 14th, I think it is. I'll be making a post about it. You guys are welcome to come.
Okay.
We were up there in September. We had a little bit of activity, not a lot. We had a little bit.
Yeah.
But we got a friend up there that lives up right in that area where we're going to be, and he had a lot of experiences up there.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that because he wants to take us to several places, and him and his wife are awesome people. They really are, and you're really gonna appreciate them doing that. And believe me, when it gets to go up there, there's always something freaky happening around Kinzu.
Oh, yeah, I don't doubt it.
There's always something. I gotta grab another Dr. Pepper.
Hey, Robert Swanger, I got a real good friend, best friend, Robert Swanger. He's 6'7", 350 pounds. If you're watching this tonight, I'm ordering the Dogman suit for you. I figure about
That's funny. Yeah.
I'll have it all scented dog smell for you, buddy, and you just have to stand there and act like a statue for 4 or 5 hours. So I love you, buddy.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's wrong. That is wrong.
That's funny. That's funny. That's funny.
I'm in his will, so he would do it for me. So I know he would. He's a good ex-Marine too. He's top of the line.
You're in his will. He's planning on you dying before him.
Probably so. Probably so.
But all right. It's already a few minutes after 8.
Okay.
Brian, you got any closing remarks?
None at all. Thank you.
This stuff's starting to come up again. Getting over this upper respiratory is a pain in the butt for the 3rd time in 3 months.
That's bad.
Yeah, it just wants to keep coming back. Shane, any good, interesting tidbits from you?
Any interesting tidbits from me? Well, get out in the woods. Get out in the woods and watch your backpack. I mean your back path. And today was a beautiful day to be out. It really was. It was scary at one point when I heard something breaking in front of me, behind me, then that big branch breaking down at the bottom of the high wall and something taking off like an elephant. But my hairs was up on my arms, but I just stood there and waited. I mean, got to do it for fun. Could have been. He could have been sneaking around. He owes me a couple.
Yes, he does.
He owes me.
Yes, he does.
Wow.
Probably a baker's dozen at least. So yeah.
I don't know if he told you about the head thing with the red eyes he did to him one night.
Oh no, jeez.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mike about filled his pants, but yeah.
I bet.
Yeah. We get together, Brian. I'll fill you in on some of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't stand too close to me when we go out because them guys, I've got a group of guys that want to pay me back. So you might get caught in
get caught in it,
yeah.
Yeah, the crossfire. But yeah, with all honesty, we had fun when we researched.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Take it serious too.
Yep.
All right. That's one thing about it. We like to have fun.
Yep.
If this wasn't fun, what's the use of doing it?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
We're joking, but not hopeful.
Oh
yeah. I got to. I mean, it's in my nature.
That's right.
But
I'm a third Indian. I gotta act it, so I gotta act a little like I've been on the on the alcohol, the firewater. So it's firewater, my coffee nowadays. So that's my firewater, just for coffee.
That's
Do
it.
you carry a knife?
What's that?
Do you carry a knife?
Yeah,
Yes.
actually, I did today.
When you and me are out together, you're not carrying no knives. I ain't getting still.
I'm pretty good at throwing one too. I did that for years.
That's beside the point. I don't want scalped.
No scalp.
Yeah. I've got one up here already. I don't know if you can see
There
it,
you go.
but one scalp, a turkey scalp. So,
There you go.
Hey, Brian, stick around
Yeah.
after the show.
All right.
Everybody, thank you very much for tuning in. It's been a great show. Thank you guys for doing this.
Absolutely.
I had fun tonight. I really
So did I. Yep, so did I.
This has been an Agents of the Unexplained original podcast. Like us on Facebook, subscribe and view on YouTube, and please visit our store link in the bio. Thank you for listening, and remember that paranormal